Captain Forest here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over both these combatants to see who would win more often not in a cross-verse situation. Thor versus Blackadam. Now if you guys are new to my channel, leave a like, comment down below, and of course subscribe. Further content also. Shouts to Coffee Shop Gang, that make awesome content. Links will all be in the description, and shouts to HQ Squad. Huge shout out to my boy Korin. He helped me with the Thor section, so much appreciate to him. I'm going to go ahead and dive into this matchup, but before I do, I want to mention some things. I have gone over both Blackadam and Thor scaling. However, I do have some additional stuff to add for Thor. Thanks to my boy Korin O'Keefe, he found some more additional scaling to help Marvel characters get a lot higher as well, based off some of the new cosmology scaling and, you know, the tiering system, of course, that keeps updating. So I'm going to go ahead and cover some stuff. As for Blackadam, I've already gone over his things in previous videos, but I will summarize certain key points and certain feats that he's shown throughout the comics, of course. Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Thor. So we've seen Thor fight against the combined force of both Yggdrasil and the World Engine. Thor forced it all back to the end, and the feat did indeed cause him a lot of pain. Enchantress herself states that all of existence owes Thor, which is pretty good, you know, standing ovation for Thor. And we also see Yggdrasil is literally everything. It has its roots and branches in all that is. It connects all life, the birth of life. The mythologies and religions coincide with science, and that all life came from one source, be it single cell life or the body of a giant, a cosmic egg, or an explosion. The tree is impossibly vast. Its span is beyond all measure, mortal or divine. In some places it exists only as a concept. Yggdrasil essentially encompasses the dimension of manifestation and the superflow. And another thing I want to add as well, if you guys haven't seen my friend Carimbus's video on the dimension of manifestation, he goes into a lot of detail on how big and how massive the dimension of manifestation would scale and where it would be placed in the Marvel cosmology. So please check that video out. I'll leave a link in the description. But as I was saying, again, like literally, this is a weaker Thor who performed this feat, and it's not Thor's true archetypal state of existence either. So right off the bat, this is some really good AP scaling for Thor. I will go and explain and break down all of this in my analysis near the end of the video, but regardless, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this all up easily. Thor has some really good AP scaling right here, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to his hexes and all his other abilities. So believe it or not, the God of Thunder himself has some pretty good hexes. Thor has the ability to absorb energy that his opponents fire at him, and he can redirect it back at them 100 times more powerful than the attack originally was. Thor has the ability to transmutate objects or his opponents and manipulate matter. For example, he turned a pyramid back into an orange grove. We've also seen Thor turn Absorbing Man into helium. As the Asgardian god of thunder, Thor possesses the phenomenal weather manipulation / electricity manipulation. Thor summoned a lightning storm in the 10th realm to destroy a building. This is particularly notable because there are no clouds in the 10th realm. The 10th realm is a conceptual realm. It's connected to the world tree itself. So we're literally able to see Thor cast literally lightning from such a huge distance. That's crazy. That's massive. And also Thor is capable of creating portals and can counter BFR or BFR his opponents. Thor teleports the masters of evil to a dimension where their powers work backwards. Thor teleports Godstorm to Asgard just before he explodes, and Thor was able to banish Frost Giants pretty easily. Thor can BFR his foes into Limbo, which is a realm that is beyond the concepts of space and time. Magic states that staying inside Limbo for far too long will make you go insane and die. Staying inside Limbo also corrupts you, and you are surrounded by hostile demons, and the environment is against you. Even the environment itself, like the decayed like leaves and vines, they will all attack you. So in other words, the realm itself is pretty much your enemy. There was also another occasion that was shown when Thor was able to seal Hyperion inside of a glass ball just by throwing his hammer at him at immense speeds, and the hammer literally just whirled around him like a tornado, and it sealed him inside this little ball. So he has some really good sealing hacks. And of course, Thor's hammer is pretty pretty interesting actually. It has some energy absorption, is able to absorb Hyperion's atomic heat vision just fine, and Mjolnir can also negate and power null magic. Thor threw Mjolnir and made it spin around to negate all mystical energy, which was protecting Juggernaut. So he essentially power null Juggernaut, which is insane. That's a really good feat for him. Thor himself has his Warrior's Madness, aka the Berserker Rage, which gives him a 10 times increase in power. He likes to use this especially when he's pressed or he's like really mad. And Thor can strip away people's powers, leaving them powerless, such as when Thor stripped Galactus of his powers, so he has some more power nulling feats. And we also see the God of Thunder have his signature attack called the God Blast, where he blasts this energy from his hammer, and it's also strong enough to literally whirl back Galactus and even put pause to a Celestial. So it's pretty impressive. The God Blast is pretty ridiculous. But those are the hexes that Thor has. There are many more, but these are the main ones I wanted to bring up. So that's going to round up Thor ultimately. I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about Blackadam, and then I'm going to move on to the analysis and give my thoughts on who I think wins more often than not in a crossverse situation. Now, I've gone over some feats for Blackadam. He easily has creation level feats, especially against his fight against Darkseid, who was amped by the Great Darkness's chains. He was able to destroy those pretty easily with his lightning. He should be one, if not the most powerful Justice League member on the team, and he would easily scale to the likes of Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Hal Jordan, Martian Manhunter, and other powerful characters in the team. So he'd easily have these really good feats, and the lightning itself has shown that too, especially when it was able to light up Pariah's ass with the lightning. Pariah was pretty powerful as well, which is a really good feat for Blackadam. So I've gone over his abilities already pretty much in other videos. He pretty much has his lightning, he has tactics, and just many ways to deal with his opponents, and some really good resistances and resilience. So I'm going to go ahead, give my thoughts on who I think wins more often than not in a crossverse situation. So based off stats, now it depends on where you place Thor. Now this version of Thor I want to mention, I'm using just standard Thor. This isn't current, or Cosmic King Thor or any of that. This is just like standard Thor. Like, I think if we use like current Thor, I think it'd be way too much for Blackadam based off the feats that he has. In my opinion, I think he just one-shot Blackadam, especially if you use like his other feats where he has like Odin, like the Odin Force, Cosmic, when he becomes like a herald for Galactus. All of that is just way too much. So I figured this version of Thor would be a lot more interesting to use. So based off like feats, like Thor's natural existence in the world is easily like high outer plus, or boundless, you can even argue for Thor. Now I did use older scaling in my other videos, which is also fine. Like if you downplay Thor, at the very least outer plus, like that's just being generous. But if we use like the lower like levels of AP, then Blackadam would literally one-shot Thor pretty easily. Blackadam easily has boundless scaling himself via the feat that he performed on literally Darkseid with the chains, pretty easily. Some really good boundless scaling for him. However, this is where I need to talk about like the feat that I've already mentioned, where Thor is able to literally, push back the Yggdrasil and the World Engine. The Dimension of Manifestation itself is easily like 1S. It's extraversal. It has easily infinite axioms. The scaling is ridiculous. Same with the Superflow. Superflow is also massive too. And this is like a weaker Thor. This is like back like early modern-ish, maybe even classic, I guess you could possibly argue, depending on what the time frame was. But even back then, there was already boundless feats, 1S scaling, like that feat alone that Thor performed. And this was a weaker Thor, by the way, before we see Thor get more feats later on. That feat he performed is easily like at least one layer of 1S or extraversal. So if we grant that scaling to Thor, then obviously the tables would turn. He would one-shot Blackadam. So it just depends on which scaling you give Thor, and depending on which Thor you use. Because if you use like different variations of scaling, there's different outcomes. Blackadam either bodies or Blackadam gets one-shotted. But if we stick with the boundless stuff, it's a lot more competitive. They both have really good boundless scaling, and it's very competitive. They'd be more relative in that regard. Now, if we're looking at things in terms of like speed, I would say Blackadam is a little bit more faster. I know Thor does have some immeasurable, even some irrelevant speed feats to argue, but I do think that Blackadam has a little bit more concrete speed feats, just a little bit more like layers into the tier, I should say. so I do think Black Adam is still a bit faster. However, when it comes to like the overall fight, win cons, Black Adam has his laced lightning fists. He could just imbue that with lightning or call upon Shazam, and of course his barbaric and ruthless AP and just trying to rip his opponents to shreds. Obviously he has his Egyptian pantheons to also assist if need be, and of course Black Adam just likes to get really physical with his opponents. However, I think with Thor's like other abilities, like Thor has a lot of other win cons to help him in this fight. Mjolnir I think is probably a really nasty counter against Black Adam. Mjolnir can just absorb the lightning attacks from Black Adam if Black Adam starts throwing lightning at Thor, especially if he yells Shazam. I don't think that's going to be able to do much to Thor. I think Thor would just spin his hammer and he just either nullify it, absorb it, and he could just blast it literally back at Black Adam, 100 times more, doing 100 times more damage. And that could be an issue if Black Adam tries to like tank that attack. But I know Black Adam is pretty built different, so he'd be able to endure it pretty easily. And if that specific lightning does hit him, by the way, there's another thing I want to mention. If he reflects that lightning back at Black Adam, that's going to be an issue. That will make Black Adam revert back to his human self, and that's going to be a huge issue. Thor's just going to get in and just whoop his ass. So I think with a lot of advantages on Thor's side, especially just a lot of resistances, a lot of ways to counter Black Adam, and of course Thor is no slouch in combat. He's also pretty skilled himself. I give victory more so to Thor with a good amount of difficulty, moderate difficulty. I just think Mjolnir is just going to be able to neutralize a lot of Black Adam's abilities. Like the lightning isn't going to be an issue at all. If Thor wants to get mad, he can also use his Warrior's Madness if he gets really irritated with Black Adam, if Black Adam starts to try and overpower him. So I think in that regard, I'd have to give victory to Thor more often than not. He has the AP, he has ways to counter Black Adam, and more often than not, I just have to give victory to Thor. However, if we use, as I said, low end scaling, Black Adam would literally curb stomp Thor with no difficulty. But yeah, this is it for the video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Tell me who you think wins. But yeah, it's been real. See you guys in the next one.